The New Jersey Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of this act, the Belvidere Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted with the Star Ledger and Express Times, and submitted to the town clerk of the town of Belvidere on January 15th, 2025. The meeting will be live streamed at www.belvideresd.org. Flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Belvidere School District is to celebrate our past and empower our future while focusing on the four cornerstones of our district: tradition, excellence, academics, and community. We strive to build confidence and promote collaboration. We encourage an equal partnership with our students and staff as well as its community members. We empower everyone to develop the best version of themselves. The Belvidere School District is committed to shaping students into global citizens who take initiatives for their success and contribute to the continued excellence of the district. Our students are leaders in the decision-making process of their education and will be prepared to excel in the 21st century society. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blum?
Here.
Mr. Bone?
Here.
Dr. Zuppeth?
Here.
Mrs. Duckworth?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mrs. Steffen?
Here.
Ms. Walton?
Here.
Mrs. Wenner?
Here.
Mrs. White?
Here.
Ciccarelli?
Here.
Mrs. Gardella?
Here.
Mrs. Robotham?
Here. Okay, so we have a couple presentations tonight that we're going to go to, but before that, I would just like to say that tonight is our last board meeting with Mr. Karuba as our superintendent. We would like to thank you for all your years of dedication to our district. On behalf of myself, the Board of Education, and the entire district, staff and students, I'd like to say thank you and congratulations on your retirement. I'm hoping the best of health and happiness for your future and the next chapter of your life. So we would like to present you with this plaque to say thank you. Yep.
Belvidere School District, in recognition of outstanding leadership, Christopher J. Karuba, Superintendent, thank you for guiding our district with integrity and purpose for 15 years. Your passion for education has been an inspiration to all. Enjoy your well-deserved retirement, 2010 to 2025. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yep, thank you. All right.
So we have presentations tonight. We have Ms. Wardell and Ms. Prislak, who were two of our winners of the, or however you want to say, recipients of our Ed Foundation grants. So they're going to talk a little bit about the process that they went through, what they came up with, and what they're doing with the funds that they received. So take it away.
Sure, Kim. No.
Hello, I'm Taylor Prislak.
I'm Kim Wardell.
And this school year, we requested a grant from the Belvidere Education Foundation for what we're calling the Belvidere Boost Carts. It's a way to boost staff morale in the middle school, high school, and elementary school with beverages, snacks. That is run by my middle school MD class.
And my first to third ERI class.
The goals that we're focusing on is stocking a cart. So, the kids can learn, hey, I have 12 cans of soda, we sold 3, how many do we need to restock? And there's going to be a person designated for that job. We have punch cards that we're giving to staff members, kind of like a Rita's reward. So if a staff member participates all 10 months, they go into a drawing and they get a prize or a gift card. And a lot of community businesses have supported us. King's Gambit is donating coffee every month. We got some gift cards from Harper's Grill that is used for a raffle. Who else? Cafe Wawa, yep, Wawa, Cafe Bocce in Hackettstown, the Found and the Lost boutique downtown. So it's going to be a great way to kind of hopefully boost staff morale on a midday Wednesday or a Friday.
In addition to boosting the staff morale, we have to boost our students' self-confidence. Part of this cart is they must ask, what would you like? For some of the students, they don't like talking to a staff member that they don't know. So that will help to build that. It will boost their literacy skills as well, because they have to read what the staff member wants and pick out the correct one. We have 3 different kinds of juices, so you can't, you'll have to say ocean spray apple, or if you say I want an ocean spray, they must say I have 3 kinds, what kind would you like? These are life skills that they will take with them when they leave Belvidere. So we're really, really excited about the program. The kids are super excited about the program. I know initially they think of it as time out of the classroom, and it is, but that's also good for them. Education is not 4 walls and a desk and a book. It takes on many aspects. So,
Yeah, that's
good.
it.
So
Questions?
before you guys go, I'm going to put Ms. Bardell on the spot for a second. She doesn't know this is coming. We had a really cool visitor this morning for a lot of our special ed students and even some of our high school students too. So rather than me tell the board how great it was, why don't you take a moment to talk about who our little visitor was and how much the kids really enjoyed it?
So I went to the New Jersey Teacher Convention last year, and Jenkinson's Aquarium was there from down on the shore. And I said, gee, some of my students just can't sit on a bus this long. I really wish I could find somebody to bring the animals to us. Oh, well, we bring the penguins.
Oh.
Cool. Wow. And so I was like, oh, you do you? So Jack the penguin, Captain Jack the penguin visited our building this morning. The kids were beside themselves to see a penguin on the table in the ag hall, not behind a glass, not, come here in a tank or something like that. They educated the kids. The kids were phenomenal, sitting and listening for 45 minutes. And that's a big deal for our kids sometimes. And then she opened it up to Q&As, and the kids were great with their questions. And so Captain Jack will be coming back, maybe not him, but maybe some of his different friends will be returning to Belvidere. But it was an amazing day for the kids. It really was.
What was really great from my point of view was seeing not just your students, but Mr. Duckworth's juniors and seniors in the same class all together, interacting equally. It was just awesome to see.
Yeah, it was. We had Mrs. Scott's pre-K to 3 kids in there, all the way up to high school kids, and it really truly was something in my career I will remember.
Great.
It was great.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that.
Thank you for your time. I don't know how we can, okay.
Just with the Ed Foundation, we figured rather than bring everybody all at once and make it a really long presentation, we'd bring a couple every meeting. Mr. Duckworth was going to come tonight, but he couldn't make it. But he did ask me to read his write-up. And I suspect that Matt knew that I was going to read it, so it's a little bit longer than it probably would have been if he was reading it. But he wrote down, the Belvidere Agricultural Education Department is pleased to announce the new tools and equipment purchased through a $550 grant from the Belvidere Education Foundation. Agricultural biology, in parentheses animal science, remains an integral part of the agricultural program, with the care of our aquaculture tank and water quality testing being a major focus in the curriculum over the past 25 years. While individual chemicals have been purchased to replace those that have run out or expired, many of the tools, test tubes, collect sample bottles are worn out or broken after many years of use. By purchasing a new freshwater aquaculture testing outfit through the grant, our agriculture biology class now has the tools and a surplus of chemicals to continue to care for the tank on a weekly basis. Ag mechanics, which is our welding and building construction, has also been an integral part of the ag program for several decades, with electrical wiring being a major focus in the curriculum over the last 25 years. Over the past 5 years, our ag mechanics class has seen a revitalization with the addition of new equipment and protective clothing for our welding section, as well as the new addition of magnetic welding holders, which was also received, they bought through the Educational Foundation grant. However, many of the tools for the electrical wiring portion of the course were worn out, and much of that wire inventory has been used by the previous classes. So Matt was able to purchase 3 electrician tool sets, 50 feet of residential 14 divided by 2 Romex wire, which I don't know what that is, 14.2, sorry. I only know 220, 221, whatever it takes, 110, 125 outlet tester to assess student performance through the foundation. So Matt says thank you, And we appreciate the Ed Foundation. That's two great things that they've helped do for the school. Okay. We're also going to now turn it over to young Miss Gardella, who is, she's not our full-time rep to the board from student government. Hannah Labib will be doing that, but I think when Hannah can't make it, Izzy's going to jump in. So Izzy, we'll let you give your report also because you probably want to move along too.
Good evening. My name is Isabella Gardella. I'm here as the Belvidere High School Board of Education representative tonight. As Mr. Krupa said, I'm not the full-time rep. Hannah will be here most nights. And I'm just going to share some information about the upcoming events from our faculty and advisors that they would like to share. Our Leo Club members helped at the White Township Community Day, and they assisted the Lions Club with their popcorn stand. A couple of the upcoming events on October 3rd, they have their first visit to the Mirror V with NHS. And the Leos will be painting nails, playing board games, and hanging out with the residents. On October 4th, the Lions Club will be having Golftoberfest, and the Leos will be helping with the event. And also on October 24th, the Leo Club will be helping the Evening Star Quilt Guild with setting up for their quilt show. The NHS will be hosting its annual Stall Day fundraiser on Wednesday of Homecoming Week to raise funds for a local family in need. And NHS also has its first blood drive of the year on November 21st. And the NHS induction ceremony will be held Wednesday, November 19th at 7 p.m. We would love some members of the board to join us to celebrate the achievements of our students and enjoy a piece of cake. FEA has 10 teachers' aides in the elementary and middle school this year, which is up 4 from last year. And they are still looking to place 2 more, but are off to a great start. The Environmental Science Club has a new teacher that is running it, Mrs. Duncan, who is our AP Environmental Science teacher. Ms. Bader is no longer running the program, and Ms. Duncan is excited to step in and guide students in exploring environmental issues. The club will meet once or twice a month during lunch period to discuss important current events and develop ways to engage with and support our community. Students will have the opportunity to share ideas, learn more about today's environmental challenges, and take part in meaningful projects that make a difference. They will also be taking several field trips. The Drama Club is having auditions and then rehearsals for their fall play, Alice in Wonderland, to be presented on Saturday, November 1st at 1:30. Our pep band continues to play at our pep rallies, football games, and will play at the Belvidere Halloween Parade on Wednesday, October 29th. And Mr. Z is planning for their annual Veterans Program is in full swing, and many veterans already saying they are coming on Wednesday, November 5th. Mrs. Damchek and Mr. Z are working on updating our website to include the Veterans Road of Heroes, our Wall of Honor, and our Veterans Program. And finally, mark your calendars for the high school holiday concert, which is December 11th. Student government concession stand is back at home football games. We had our first successful stand this past Friday at the game. We'll be selling at the next 2 home games, which are October 4th and October 10th. We'll be selling various items, including hot dogs, snacks, candy, and drinks at night games, and bagels, pastries, and coffee at the morning games. Homecoming is right around the corner and will be the week of October 13th through 17th, and students are gearing up for the daily themes, hallway decorating, pep rally, and dance, which will be held October 18th in the high school gym. The theme for this year is Homecoming Throwback, honoring our school's rich history. Class homecoming t-shirts will be on sale until September 30th. And finally, a month into the school year, FFA is now doing their fruit sale, which is navel oranges and ruby red grapefruit. Full cases, which are about 40 pounds, are $42, and half cases, which are about 20 pounds, are $24, with orders open until Friday, November 14th. Up next, they will be starting their apparel sale and preparing land judging, fruits and vegetables, and milk quality and product teams for the career development event day at Rutgers University on November 20th. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice job.
Update.
All right, so we will move on to committee reports then. Curriculum and policy.
So the Curriculum and Policy Committee met last week. We reviewed the SOP for our internal controls. We're suggesting a more extensive view into this policy, just clean up some old language, update some possible technology guidelines and just be on track per the state guidelines. The handbook for middle school now has their own separate handbook. The handbook has been updated for the schedule has spring break marked as half days. That has been corrected and posted. Now have the correct calendar in all of the handbooks. And the middle school handbook was also going to have a discipline matrix. Dr. McKinney has already shared with all the middle school kids. So that will be new. So this year we'll have 3 handbooks. NJSLA is rolling out a new format for standardized testing. This testing will be more adaptive and will measure growth year after year. And the state is looking to pilot their first test in October. The high school buddy program, which the Future Educators of America are buddying up with the elementary school, seems to be going very well. Lots of positive feedback. Both sets of students seem to be enjoying this program. The middle school buddy character program is now 3 days a week instead of 1, which is more than they've done in the past. So they are learning other things outside of just going to the younger classes, and then that way when they go to the younger classes, it'll be a better, more controlled environment. And we talked a little bit about some things that we could possibly move into a buddy character curriculum, such as intercommunication skills, possibly things around social media, proper ways to use social media, cell phone etiquette, things like that, and then maybe even some health and nutrition. So that is really a working curriculum at the moment. Any questions?
I have a quick question. Are there any updates with the cell phone?
No, I believe the policy is the same.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? No? Okay, so now we are on to finance and operations.
Okay. So a big topic was the roofs. All roofs are beyond warranty. There was roof sections 2 and 7 that were cord that noted moisture under the roof compromising the base of the roof. Currently, there's no active leaks, but moisture is compromising the integrity of the roof system, which includes tenting of the roofs, flashing is in poor condition, and additional areas that are pretty worn. We can get a 34% of state aid for a referendum. Instead of paying 100%, the state would pay 34%, but unfortunately, the 66% would need to be absorbed by taxpayers. We did research grants, but there were none that were found. We discussed a solar option, but that does not seem feasible based on how the current market is. And they actually stated that they see more solar coming down than going back up. There is a concern again for moisture, that's from a safety standpoint. So the next steps are to core all roofs to determine the prioritization of roof replacement. Consider a Department of Education application after discussion with the board, which would need to be submitted in March to determine what our financial aid would be. It is an extensive process that involves the state and the county, and it would also require 2 Department of Education applications that would need to be submitted because there are 2 separate schools, the elementary and high school. We also met with the bond council, not us specifically, but representatives from the finance committee. And right now we only have a capacity of $9 million to request, or $9 million. However, the roof estimate could be up to $15 million. So the goal would be to begin replacement in 2027. However, we are asking if there are second consults or opinions. Then on top of that, there's boilers. The high school boiler needs replacing. There's a potential grant available. TRC offers incentives through Elizabeth Gas. We have to consider a 5-year equipment lease to pay for the boiler. There's $168K in the current budget for funding. Eligible for debt service aid with referendum, but years do not necessarily align with the roof replacement and current available funds in the budget. So there's got to be a little bit more strategy from that standpoint on funding. So the next steps again is to expect proposals for the boilers and the roof, and also for further B.O.E. discussion and potential approval and how we would prioritize these replacements. We would also need to update our facility long-range plan when submitting these applications to the Department of Education. And again, consider a second evaluation consult. In terms of the Third Street auction, there's been some discussion with Max Span, who's an auctioneer company. The best, right now, what's considered the best option based on our previous bid that we turned down is to go out for auction, and this could take approximately 3 months. The B.O.E. will not have to pay commission, however, for this process. Shelley was going to follow up on the max span cost if we do not accept a bid, which I understand the most recent update is that we would not be charged if we did not accept a bid. We have the option of setting a minimum bid or no minimum at all, and MaxSpan was going to work to provide us what that minimum bid potentially would be. And then also MaxSpan, did auctioneers for 2 other schools in the region and trying to understand what those sales prices were and also looking for another auctioneer for comparison pricing and past sales history. Then we're looking at our unbudgeted expenses and our out-of-district costs, which are contributing to over a $234,000 deficit for the year. There are a couple students that are going out of district, and transportation is certainly a challenge when we're looking at, what that overall cost is, and we're trying to negotiate, around some of those challenges. But insurance liability does make this difficult to do so. And, Dr. Garcia was present at our meeting, and she did state that she thought it would be a good idea for her to kind of better understand what some of these out-of-district students are receiving in terms of services and see if there's anything that we can bring back to Belvidere and help to support those children within district if possible. But again, lots to be determined and assessed. From an AIDS standpoint, there's been some discussion about the substitute versus AIDS and, what's the cost savings there. And so based on some feedback from Shelley, there's no longer feasible to contract AIDS based on current incentives of waiving benefits and providing that OT waiver. And we reviewed the current club participation that are associated with stipends, but this still requires a deeper dive and something that will likely be discussed in the negotiations, which is kicking off this fall. And that's pretty much it. It was a lot. A lot of stuff. Any questions?
With the boiler, Shelley, wasn't that a grant with something with JCP&L? What's
Yes.
happened with that?
So that was in the spring. We initially were about 95% there to have our notice to proceed with the grant from JCP&L. And then we actually got additional information at the Finance Committee meeting from the architect there that the state actually shut all of the grants down because of the way that they were doing the procurement for the projects. So we lost that grant. We tried to appeal it, but we weren't able to get it continued. The lighting piece, however, you may have seen outside the building.
I did, yeah.
That Mr. Kennedy was able to find an alternative way to get the lighting going, and that's at 100% grant. So we have no cost on that, but that is all underway. But the boiler side, we now have an additional grant option through a company called TRC, and we are meeting with them to try to see what they'll be able to provide, how quickly we can get that done, because we're trying to prioritize, how can you keep the school open? If you can't heat it, you can't have the school open, so we figured boilers are come first. If the roof fails, you may, have certain sections that will be, closed down, but if you don't have heat, you don't have a whole building. So we're trying to look at get the boilers done first, and then getting the roofs done, possibly through this referendum, as we keep progressing along.
And is insurance, does that play a part in any potential, with the roof? Is there any claims or anything that you could put in?
No, not, it's all wear and tear.
felt like that was a little grim.
Thanks, Jack.
Sorry.
Shelley, is there any additional information, max span, that you need to share? I know a lot has went on the past week with all of that.
Yes,
So
it's-
you've been
You know,
working hard on
That
it.
was Wednesday night that the finance committee met, and then I did get answers from the finance committee's questions, and I tried to get some of that out to the board. The latest with Max Span is that we asked them, we do have an appraisal, and just because it's appraised, we found that that doesn't necessarily match up with what the bid was that we received when we did our public advertisement for bids for Third Street, which we did at the end of the summer. So we've asked them if they could help us come up with a value, not necessarily to put on the auction as a minimum, but as, just a key to help the board know what's a good price we would or wouldn't accept. So they actually came out yesterday at 1:00, and they're hoping to turn around a number for us as another placeholder for the board to consider by Friday. They did give us an agreement that if we wanted to go ahead and, they have a November auction coming up, if we wanted to be part of that, where they do all the marketing to try to bring in more potential buyers. When we advertise in the newspaper, we only receive one bid, and our only marketing was putting it in the newspaper. With the auction, there's no cost to the board, and that includes even if we decide we are not going to accept the highest bid that would come in that day. We still would not have any cost. They get paid through a 10% commission from the buyer side. So they sent an agreement. I had our attorney review that in case the board would want to go forward. They said we would need to have the agreement signed within the next 7 days to be part of the November auction. And then with the holidays, they don't know when their next auction would be after that, but they find that their marketing is most effective when they have
Stop.
okay.
Everyone stop.
When they have a group of, properties that they're auctioning at the same time. They did provide information back that they did sell a school in Pohakon. I might get these backwards. One was the Shimer School.
Yeah, I know where that is.
And then another one in Greenwich. One sold for around $400,000. The other one sold for $82,000. Both of them were, from what they explained, were in disrepair. And apparently, when they came out yesterday to look at Third Street, they were very impressed with the upkeep of the building and that it's a much different piece of property that we would be selling versus those as comparisons. So I'm interested to see what value they give us.
Stop. Leave it. It won't
Does
leave.
anybody have any other questions? I did get different emails. I tried to answer. Anything else that I'm forgetting? So, we did get the question, I think, at the last board meeting was, what is the current cost of Third Street? So when I add up the 24-25 utilities and divide it by 12, it's about $1,500 a month to keep Third Street going. But of course, that's changes with the seasons. So we're running into now the higher cost seasons as we have to, begin heating the building in the next couple months. And otherwise, there's a boiler cleaning cost and then our fire alarm panel inspections. The boilers, regardless if we're in a November auction or not, I think once you sell with the auction, it's 45 days after that to close. So we would have to get the boilers up and running because it will hit the heating season. So that cost we'll have either way. And the fire alarm panels were done in the past month or so as well. So those costs have happened. But basically, I just wanted to try to get all the information out because we've been talking about it for a couple of years at almost every board meeting that we're trying to get permission to sell. Now that we have it, we're just trying to keep it going. So this is one option that does not have any cost to us. We could go forward if you see fit. If not, we can look at other options. We did talk about, I think Mr. Crute, our attorney, did say at the last meeting, we are allowed to use a realtor at this point. So we could look at that option, but we will have to pay probably at least, I'm not too super current on realtors right now, but probably at least 3% commission on our side if for sales that way. So it appears from the agreement, and the attorney's review review it as well, that we wouldn't have any cost to give Max Span a shot and see if we're able to bring in any additional bidders to get a better price than we did with our own public advertisement.
Can we get a realtor in the interim just to kind of get an idea of a market analysis?
We can. I did do that when we initially started, and it was, over $1 million for the building. We could ask somebody to come in and do that again.
I mean, it might be a good idea to just kind of have both to look at so we
Yeah.
make a better decision.
It's just the more that I'm learning about it, it's worth what someone will pay for it, right? So we're trying to get more people out there and aware of it, so that's why we felt, I think it was like, actually, Ms. Walton had a good idea, like, what about an auction? And they have further reaching marketing than we would do, what if we'd have to pay for the marketing, to try to get more people involved in looking at it that might.
I would like
You
to
wanna
see that though, just to
transform them.
kind of compare, because I know in today's, you have like the drones that do the videos, you know what I mean? Like, and it goes out on the Garden State, the whole thing. So I'm just curious what the two marketing comparisons would look like, because we could, if you have someone who focuses, in a building such as this, they might have a very robust outreach.
So to clarify, for full disclosure, I use Max Span. They are a real estate company. They're not an auctioneer who just comes in with an auctioneer. They are a real estate firm, but they sell additionally through auction service. And they have marketing services and outreach probably better than a local realtor, because this isn't a house.
So you're recommending to have both done through Max Span?
No, I'm saying, I'm adding clarifying information. I'm not making a recommendation. I want to say, because all the terminology Shelley just used was auctioneer, I want to make sure everybody hearing that understands they are a real estate firm. And so they are not like an auctioneer coming in to just sell stuff. So they actually do printed marketing. My personal experience was they put up a large sign and they have targeted client list as opposed to targeting homeowners like one of the many realtors we all know and love here in town. So I think we should at least have another comparable firm. Residential real estate agent is not going to be comparable because we're not selling a residential property. But I do think we should have one.
No,
one.
right.
Right, I've tried to find, I don't know.
But I just wanted to
I've found, like,
clarify
a
that
realtor
they're
that
not-
works in.
they are real estate.
Government sales, and
Yes.
we could find somebody.
I
So with
think
that-
the town may have them as well. Does
May have used Max Span, or
the
they
town,
might have another
I
idea.
recall from being a participant at a town council meeting that there was a property that the town had taken possession of due to back taxes. And I believe if it didn't, they were at least looking to sell it via auction. So we might be able to reach out to our town council to ask what auctioneer service they had considered using. And so then we have a comparable comparison. It
But
might
I'm
have
also
been-
thinking, I think you're saying to have I didn't realize that Max Span was a realtor myself also.
No, they are a realtor. Yeah.
Just to kind of
But,
say,
you know,
okay,
like-
this is definitely the avenue that's going to get the most, publicity, visual, just so we know, we've done our due diligence to make sure that we've checked all the boxes to make sure
Right.
this is the correct avenue to head into.
And I think, since the actual auction wouldn't be until the November timeframe, and then after the auction, we have 15 days to either accept or not, whatever the highest bid would be, that was something we could do at the same time, is have somebody else give us another value, because really, the information the board needs to know is 15 days after the auction, is that a value that we want to go with or not?
And just to be
Appears
clear,
me
I'm sorry.
as if we have nothing to lose by going with this auction.
That's kind of what my feeling is from the research.
Like we have control to accept or reject any auction.
Right,
It'll also give us exposure in the area,
right.
in my opinion.
But we still have to figure out if we're setting a minimum bid, correct, and what that would be.
Right, they're not recommending that we do set a minimum bid.
Well, we can have a number, I would imagine we're gonna probably have some sort of baseline, maybe, you know what I mean, where we can,
Like a threshold.
Yeah.
Where we know we
I would
all
think.
agree and stand, right?
Doesn't matter though, because we're gonna pick it, we're gonna decide within 15 days after the bidding's done.
But I think it would be, what I'm thinking though is if we turn down the last bid because it was 200 and something, and then say all we get is 200 and something, then are we gonna go and accept that $200,000 bid, or we're back at square one, and then we're repeating another 3 months of this process? So I'm just trying to avoid that.
I mean, I could say about the Max Van Realty, they've been in business for decades, like literally decades. This is a junior situation, meaning his dad was doing it for decades too. So it's in their best interest to get the most amount of money for it also. So I don't think they're new
No,
to the
they're not.
business.
And they're not
they're
new
locals,
to
right? They're from Warren
unusual
County, Hunterdon
properties.
County, right?
That's
That's
our
right.
thing, right,
Yeah.
is trying to get
I mean,
somebody who understands,
The uniqueness of the
niche
property
that we're
as
trying to
opposed to
sell.
a house on Third Street.
right.
And this is residential, right? It's all,
It's-
the building is considered?
The, right now, the town has it zoned residential, which is different than what we had heard at some of our previous meetings where it said it was cottage use.
And can
So
you just
it's
explain to
in-
me what happened with that? Because
So-
that was like something I didn't
I-
fully
I
understand.
checked with a member of the planning board in anticipation of this discussion. It is in the cottage zone, but cottage only applies to a residence where you have your storefront on the first floor.
Isn't cottage a license? It's not,
No.
it's a zone?
Yeah, and then yes, because the town says where you can have cottage, like, I believe I live in a cottage district because I'm I'm a mixed resi commercial. So, like, Found is a cottage, because the first floor is their business, and
No,
the second floor is
I
the
understand what
rent.
it is, but I'm saying what happened, why we
But
thought
no,
it was.
it has to be a residential property. The school is not a residential property. So the school sits in a cottage district, but the type of property, cottage.
But we're
applies.
selling it as residential.
But it's not a residential business right now. So that's why it wouldn't apply.
I'm still confused.
But weren't we gonna put it on the market to be residential or cottage? Wasn't that the whole point?
Right, I'm
getting
saying
it
what
zoned?
happened
No,
to
we,
that?
when
Like-
we put it out for public bid, it was with it was like an R something zoning, because that is the zone, per the zoning office. But we also put that any potential buyer needs to verify all that on their own, because we weren't gonna take the liability for what the property is
And
or
what-
isn't. But that's when we found out that everything in that area was changed to cottage use, but not necessarily the school, because the school is a school, not a residential,
Property.
not a residential house, so therefore it didn't apply.
And anything the buyer intends to do, right, they're probably not gonna run it as a school. So they're gonna have to go to the planning board and get approval, whereas you go and you.
But that's where and this was before you were on, that's where I'm still stuck, because we had, Morris said that's done. Remember, we had that
Everything
meeting,
that
he
we've
said that zoning's done.
Been kind of told that since many board members ago was not exactly with what happened.
Right.
But that's what I'm asking, so what happened?
Well, I mean, that would be a more specific question for the town. I mean, we've asked and gotten emails back, and that's the best explanation thatVe got, is that the area around it was changed to cottage, but not the school.
So recently changed,
I think recently, like in the last
within the sale,
couple of few
within this-
years, that we've been talking about this,
Because
the change
under
was
the
made.
former mayor, there had been a push to move to more cottage to bring more businesses into town, as a revenue opportunity. But again, it's applicable to the building. If somebody was living in that building
So there was
now,
just miscommunication somewhere.
sounds like
Yes,
it.
that's what the explanation was. But whomever would bid on the property, they would have to do their own due diligence of what they're
Right, to
going to
change for-
purchase.
to apply for
That
zoning.
would not be something that
And then
would
whatever
fall
they're
on
gonna
us.
do has to go for planning, right? Like, that, we have church buildings in town that are now residences. And if somebody wants to make turn that into apartments, they have to go to the planning board. So if somebody wanted to turn the Third Street School into apartments and maintain that beautiful playground, then they'd have to go to the planning board, because they're making a change.
Well, I think nothing ventured, nothing gained. I feel it's time that we move ahead on this got nothing to lose. Therefore, I'm making a motion that we participate in Max Band's auction in November.
I thought we were gonna get comparative, like another auctioneer to compare.
I also have issues with the fact that this wasn't on the agenda for the public to view in advance.
Yeah.
I mean,
As do I. I don't think we should, I'm not in favor of putting a motion on the agenda tonight and making a decision without us having properly disclosed that we would be making that decision in advance. So if there was somebody of interest or a concern, they could have shown and participated. The way this is coming up on the agenda, that wasn't clear to the public unless you're one of the people watching or sitting here. And that, I don't think that's, I'm uncomfortable with that. I'd
So that's a
rather
little bit of a
special meeting.
catch-22 for me. So the finance committee discusses it, and then until we come to a board meeting to discuss it, I can't put something on the agenda, and then everybody will get the agenda and say, what's this? We're going to an auction? We didn't even say we're gonna do
We're
this.
just in committee reports though right now, so I
Right.
don't
Yes.
even know if we're in there.
So it's just, it's just a tough one to know what's the right way to do. Like, so I tried to say, okay, there's a possibility for timing that we've been trying to sell this building for a couple of years. We don't want to drag it through the winter because, you know, we didn't talk about it. So I tried to get all the information out to the board, including the agreement that could be read ahead of time.
And it was.
And then, that way we could be able to add it on. There is no Open Publics Meetings Act or anything that inhibits us from adding items to our agenda. Like, we put items out, and that's as a courtesy, but I think the fact that we've been sitting here talking about it for however long is extremely open. And what we're doing is we're putting it out there to do a public bid. Like, we're not doing a motion to sell the Third Street School to the town tomorrow. Like, it's a motion to say, we are going to market it for the next month and a half to then have anybody publicly want to bid on it, and we've already had it out for public bid. So I'm just confused why it becomes an issue as if we are not putting things on the agenda.
I have a quick question. So I know Shelley sent out the contract, so should we take this into personnel so we can review the contract that Max Span sent out?
Well,
we
first of
could
all,
go-
let's
No,
talk
well,
just
not
protocol at the moment.
executive
Protocol at the
session.
moment is, we have a motion by Mr. Blum
Yes.
to move forward with this.
I'll second Bob.
So now you have a second. So
It's
now,
on the agenda.
now it's on the agenda, discussion, and then Mr. Blum made a motion. We can't ignore
Yeah.
that he made a motion.
Because we can't talk about even Max Span's contract, and I thought we're not supposed to talk about contracts in
We can
open
talk about
session?
contract negotiations in
Yeah.
executive, it wouldn't be personnel.
That's what
Yeah.
I meant. That's what I meant. I'm so used to talking about personnel and executive. But I feel like that the contract was sent out, so we should talk about the contract for Max Span because if this is something we want to move forward with, then we still need to talk about the contract.
And do we even want to know what they're saying it's worth? I mean, we don't even know what they're,
But it's a public bid, like what they say the value is just, it gives us an idea of what we think maybe what we have.
yeah, but I'm just throwing this out there. If we commit, let's just say we say we're gonna commit and they say that we're only gonna get $90,000, do we want to go back to the person who already put in the bid in September?
Well, that person could come to the
No.
auction,
Well, they
right?
could come to the auction, but do you know what I'm saying?
And,
Like,
and the person who bid, I also had an extensive conversation with them, they actually promoted the idea of taking it to an auction because that's where governmental people go to look. So it feels like it's been very, more than transparent to try to,
So
move it along.
I know that it feels transparent to us because we got the contract yesterday, we got the email from you, we get the notes from finance, but the rest of the public isn't getting all of that. And sometimes it feels like we're not as transparent as we should be, which is why,
Sometimes we can't be.
sometimes we can't be, I understand
But
that.
I'm
This
just-
is
I
not
guess
one
I'm
of those
just saying
times.
that we are not voting to do anything, but to give the public a chance to have an opportunity to buy the
But we're
property if
also
they
not-
want.
We have protocols in place that for certain things at certain levels, we have to compare vendors, right? Anything that's gonna be a cost of.
But this is a zero cost. I'm just
It is.
No, I get it.
having
I
trouble being hung up
understand
on.
that.
But it isn't a zero cost. Yes,
How is it not?
in terms of dollars spent to the realtor, you're right, that's zero. But there is a potential cost. If we pick, and again, I recommended this party, so I have confidence in them. But if we look at another contract and another potential perspective on a unique property like this, and they're better, we feel better for whatever reasons, then we could have missed out. So there's a potential loss. Not an outright, we're writing a check, we're deducting from the proceeds, but there's the potential. There's also, this board has been criticized for not being transparent. And I agree wholeheartedly with Mrs. Sorbonne that the Third Street School is a very obvious thing. It is not a super private thing like contracts, but, you know, I was approached after the last meeting by someone who came to me and said, why wasn't that on the agenda? I would have been there had I known.
But
So-
to say what? I mean, we did not break any,
So I
we
don't
didn't
think,
do
It's
anything
the
but I
wrong.
perception sometimes that is the cost, not the black and white of the law, but the spirit of
And
the
I
law.
100% can understand and agree with
And we
that
can
point
do
on
a
various
special
things.
meeting.
But all we're doing is saying, we want to have a public auction so that it's open to the
okay,
public.
so we can talk about that once we have time to review. You know, would like to be able to review the contract before we vote on his motion. But I think in light of the fact that we already paid the fire and we're gonna have to pay the boiler either way, the carrying costs for the rest of the year are minimally low.
Right. I would just want to circle back to the finance notes, that what Mrs. Robotham reviewed is that selling Third Street is important to us right now. The district has some problems right now, and it's for the very first time in the 16 years that I've been here, that the word deficit has actually been used appropriately. We right now have costs beyond what we have funded for the 25-26 school year because of a lot of the changes that have occurred in our special education costs, among some additionals. It is the first time in the 16-plus years that I've worked here that this is the case. So to be absorbing additional costs for Third Street and not potentially having those funds instead coming back in to help us, it seems like we're putting a lot, not willing to take basically a free risk to see if somebody comes in and says, hey, what if somebody comes in and says, well, I'm gonna bid something much closer to what our appraisal value is, or much closer to what maybe Max Band comes back and tells us on Friday that they think the value is. We're foregoing that by not doing something today, because they said we have 7 days. So if we wanna have a special meeting on, I mean, I guess we can see the quickest we can get a meeting advertised so that we can come back to next week and do this. That's fine, but I think a little bit, we do have some really important issues right now, and I think we're maybe overanalyzing something that is.
So I hear you. I don't think anybody here is saying we do not want to sell Third Street. I also think it's fair to say we just got approval to sell Third Street in August? July, okay, so it does feel very long that we've been carrying this cost, but that long stretch is over. I think sometimes we tend to, cut off our nose to spite our face because we're in a rush, because we're in a deficit, and we're driven by money.
We have not been in a deficit before, so
Okay,
let's
I
not
get it,
use
but
that word.
let's just say,
I think a time
long-term,
deficit.
a time deficit. Long-term, we might, it's just an extra couple of months is not, yeah, I get it. I just don't think anyone, Shelley, is questioning the fact that we have to sell this property, and I just want to make sure that.
Right, so
you're
I'm saying that
understanding
we've heard a lot of nice things about Max Span, but we either decide we're gonna, I mean,
We have a motion.
Okay.
We have a motion, so we have to
So
vote.
we have a motion and a second. It's on the agenda
Yeah.
to vote when we get to that point.
Okay.
Okay?
That's good.
So we're there.
Yeah.
So now we're looking to go on to get a motion to go in executive session. We'll be looking at personnel. We can look at the contract at that point.
do you wanna do the special ed ad hoc committee?
Oh, I forgot about that one. We didn't even get to the second one. Yes, well, let's move on. We'll do the special education ad hoc, and then we'll look to go to exec so we can finish this before we go to agenda items.
This one.
Okay?
Quick. So we did send out the parent survey, and we received the feedback from the parents in the special ed. So we got about 20% return rate, which we were hoping would be a little bit higher, but for our first survey over the summer, it is what it is, and we got some good feedback and put into place an action plan. We reviewed the questions for the staff survey for the ESY program. I'm hoping that survey was sent and closing out this week. Awesome. We also received an update on the life skills room. So as of the special ed meeting, which I believe was a couple of weeks ago, the life skills room was currently being painted. We did ask for a tour, but it wasn't in the condition for a tour yet. But we're hopeful that we'll have an update from the superintendent on that tonight and see if we'll be able to hit the target of completion in October.
Okay. Any questions on any of that? No? Okay, so can I have a motion to go in executive session for personnel and to review the contract for a negotiation of Third Street?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay. Any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as practicable. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session at the conclusion of the closed session in approximately 40 minutes. I'm going to be hopeful. Okay? We're on to public participation for agenda items. This first one is for agenda items only. It will be limited to 30 minutes, up to 5 minutes per participant. So anybody have public participation for agenda items? No? Okay. So our first agenda we're going to do is the motion that was and seconded that was to add. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry, correspondence. Is there any correspondence? We're so out of order tonight.
All of that.
And now superintendent report. Let's do that before
Your
we do
last
agenda
one.
I was going to
items.
say, I couldn't get my report. It's my last one.
Yes, you can. I'm sorry.
I'm going to go a little bit off my normal script. I think Izzy did an excellent job of capturing what's been going on, at least in the high school. I will say, though, before I just say some parting words, that over the last few days, I've done a lot more getting in classrooms. And I was talking to Mrs. Bardell earlier this morning because I was actually in her classroom observing when she was talking. She didn't tell the kids, and she was so excited about the Penguins. But she kept saying, we have a special guest today. Spend more time just in the cafeteria with the students. And for me, 15 years, 3 as principal and 12 as superintendent, proud of a lot of things we've accomplished. Starting to just put a list together. I remember when I first came to the high school, we only had 1 AP class. So I think we're at 11 now. So I think that was a big deal back in those days. But I just walk around and I see our students, and I truly believe in our kids, as I did the day I first got here. We have truly outstanding students. We certainly always have a couple of problems here and there, but I think the kids, and I'd say kids still, I'm sorry, I'm old school with that. The good kids truly outweigh some of the problems that we have. And I think sometimes we forget that. But when you walk around the halls and you keep, even just like I said, we talked real quick in executive session about just this morning when I was outside the high school gym letting kids in and how appreciative they were. Just that I was holding the door for them and hear kids, that just say thank you. Belvidere, it's a great place. It's meant a lot to me for the last 15 years. Some great colleagues. We have excellent teachers. We really do. We have excellent paraprofessionals, excellent administrators. I remember when I first came as principal, and then when I was taking over as superintendent, Dirk used to say, we just do a lot with a little here, and that's always been the case. And I've just been blessed for the last 15 years to be here, and I'm definitely bittersweet going. I'm sad to leave. It'll be tough to walk out of here next Tuesday, but I just want everybody to know how much I appreciate it. I've been with almost 70 board members over the last 12 years between Belvidere and Harmony. So sometimes it's easy, you learn, Mary Ann and Bob and Doc have been the whole way. Some have been a little bit longer than others. But I just appreciate my time here. I'm in the community now, and I'll always be proud to say I'm a county seater. So just thank everybody for the opportunity to be here. So,
Great.
that's my report.
All right,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. We'll see you at all the games now, right? Okay, good.
You could be announcing with me.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to agenda items. So our first one is going to be the motion that was made earlier to add agenda item A to approve max span agreement to move forward with the possible auction for Third Street School contract. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blum,
Yes.
Mrs. Serbone,
Yes.
Dr. Zuppeth,
Yes.
Mrs. Duckworth,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Steffen,
Yes.
Ms. Walton,
Abstain.
Mrs. Wenner,
I'm going to abstain also.
Ms. White,
No.
Mr. Ciccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Gardella,
Yes.
Mrs. Robotham.
Okay, so now on to agenda items 1 through 12. Can I have a motion for items 1 through 12?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? I believe they're all second, if I remember. Yep,
They're
they're
all
all
second.
second readings for the policies. Okay, that's an all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay. On to personnel items. It's going to be numbers 13 through 26. Can I have a motion for 13 through 26?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on any of that? No? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Blum. Mrs. Serbone,
Yes.
Dr. Zuppeth,
Yes.
Mrs. Duckworth,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Steffen,
Yes.
Ms. Walton,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenner,
Yes.
Ms. White,
Yes.
Mr. Ciccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Gardella,
Yes.
Mrs. Robotham.
Yes.
Shelley, I need to abstain from 24, I forgot. That was on that section. Okay. And now we are on to education items, 27 through 41. Can I have a motion for 27 through 41?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on any of those items?
Did the kids make it to the Peak West River, the APS students? That was scheduled for yesterday,
Yes.
the 23rd? They
Yes.
did?
yes.
And note, there's the add-on to number 34, too. Everybody should have the add-on sheet, too.
Pumpkin patch tree.
Yep. Any questions? No? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions?
I just need to abstain from 29.
All right. There's so many papers to juggle. I'm sorry. I'm getting there. Okay. That brings us to business items 42 through 46. Can I have a motion for 42 through 46?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions?
I have a question. I'm not exactly sure which one it would be, maybe approved bills, 44? I just noticed that when I was going through the line items that it looks like Shelley is booking some school financial costs for personal and we're reimbursing. I'm not questioning the validity of the reimbursement, but I am questioning as to why we have a personnel staff that's sending out personal funds to do like utility bills. I think there was utility bills, there was the huddle, annual cost, and then socks.
various reasons. One, school's not allowed to have a credit card. So there's times when things come late and they have to happen, or they get canceled, and then somebody has to jump in so that it doesn't happen. So that was the Huddle case, it was a last minute piece. Edwards is an ongoing problem where they charge us late fees of over $350 a month, and we can never get our bills lined up with our board meetings, and they refuse to work with us. So I finally was able to get them to work out that we get the bill 45 days ahead so that we can be in line going forward with paying ahead instead of on the right month. But in order to do that and not get the next late fee, the bill had to be paid. No, that wasn't, I was able to do an ACH for that. What was the other one?
It was the,
A lost check.
it was a lost check to one of our utilities. Was it,
Elizabethtown?
That's what, it was
Elizabethtown Gas?
That they were gonna shut off the gas if it didn't get paid by the next day, and we couldn't get, mail there, and then they said that we could pay by phone, so I paid it.
Is
And I
there,
got reimbursed. So should always be for very anomalies. It's not a regular practice. The socks for the boys soccer team was, new coach, didn't know to order them, they handed out uniforms, said, where's the socks? Game was, in 2 days, not everybody had them. I Amazoned them real quick that night so that they got there in time.
I was gonna say, do we pay
The
for?
difference is, every sport has a budget and they choose what they want to.
Got it.
Okay.
Girls soccer utilizes their money differently than field hockey, different than boys soccer. Boys soccer generally provides socks, they don't get many of the other things. They got $33 in socks.
Right, I guess it's a thank you.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
To clarify on your comment that the school cannot legally have a credit card, is there a prohibition on a debit card? Because that's not an extension of credit.
Yeah, we can't use any cards. I can find out about a debit card specifically, but I don't know of any.
I could see
And I
a
wouldn't
credit card
want-
because that would be an extension of credit, but
Yeah.
a debit card is the equivalent of you writing a check.
It's more
Do we have dual
for our
signature?
internal controls.
Which our board package is not in compliance with our SOPs. Is there dual signatures required on our checks?
Yes.
Okay, so then that would prohibit the use of a debit card because that's a workaround, a way around the dual signature. So that wouldn't be an option. Thank you.
Okay.
But the norm is not to ask our employees to upfront costs for
Right.
this.
Not at all, but it does sometimes happen, and then people know that they can't get reimbursed taxes if they do that, and that they have to have prior approval before they do it. If you just buy something on your own and then come back later and say, hey, I want to be reimbursed for that, the answer should technically be no. You bought it yourself. But there are occasions, and that it happens.
Okay, thank you.
So I had similar questions on budget items. There, in our material, there's a reference to the Mueller Scholarship Fund. It was on page 29. What is that?
That is a gentleman that in his
It's an
estate,
actual scholarship?
He left us $150,000 with this was last year plus, because the first year we gave out the scholarship was
Okay.
24-25. And it's to be used on the interest, well, we're supposed to give, I might get this slightly wrong, but one $1,000 scholarship, two $500 scholarships.
But these are
and they-
scholarships awarded in May at the
kids, at the
annual.
scholarship
Okay.
night. And it's supposed to be based upon the interest, and Mr. Blum and I have had discussions that the principal will never probably be touched, because the way it's set up, and the amounts are smaller, and there's only a few, we have a committee, that decides who to give them to, but we had to open a special account for it, and it's part of our treasurer's report now to track it.
One other reimbursement item, there was, it was check number 26850 for plaques to be reimbursed to M. Yamrock. I assume that's Mr. Michael Yamrock, the head of the Belvidere Alumni Association. So I'm curious, what are these plaques for, and why were we reimbursing the Alumni Association? Because that seems backwards.
They're for the Hall of Fame?
They donate to the school.
Yeah, they're for the Hall of Fame, and they asked us a few years ago if we would cover the cost for the plaques for the new inductees.
Okay. And that was all my questions on those. Thank you.
Any other questions on items 42 through 46? No? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay.
Can I apologize? I lost track of where one of the items was. On the number 27 under education, when I read that document, it looks like there's right, that's this one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
In it, it looked like there were a couple spots where we should have filled in, like Warren County prosecutor and some places that might not have been, got dropped out as opposed to somewhere just as law enforcement. Since it's agreement, it appeared we needed to insert some. And then one of the requirements was the annual review. So when that review took place with Chief Scott, I'm assuming that was his signature, was there anything that came out of the review from this year in light of some of the events we've had happen in the past few months here at the school?
So the short answer is no. It's because it's the memorandum that the entire county uses. So for that particular document, there was no changes for this current year from 24 to 25 to 25 to 26. So it's not going to wind up being part of that because as they call it, the uniform state memorandum agreement. So those kinds of conversations are just between myself and I don't want to say make it sound like it's a super private conversation, but that Chief Scott and I have about different protocols on certain situations that occur here. We're not going to put that into this memorandum because it's followed by everybody equally.
But did the review process itself result in that we will be making any changes? You know, we've had some stuff this year.
So I'm going to just back off of that because I said to Chief Scott, any changes you want to make, you probably want to sit down with the new superintendent rather than you and I come up with a plan.
That makes complete sense. Thank you.
All right, so I think that already brings us into continuing business. However, yeah, continuing business, because then we have new business after. So is there any other additional continuing business?
I'll just update on the life skills room just real quick.
Yes.
We actually did a quick little tour before. Some of us actually ran down.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so
Nice.
the building is, the room is cleared out, painted. Ms. Stefan asked about potentially replacing the floors, but there's some issues why we wouldn't want to do that. We'll leave that there. We're in the process of, we're waiting just on an electrician to come in, which should be over the next few days to just put in the appropriate boxes. Ms. Wardell and Ms. Prislak have been working with Home Depot to get almost full donations of the appliances. And Mr. Kennedy's next step is to just cabinet everything, hoping that we can get this up and running by, we're not going to hit Tuesday, which was my goal to see it performed done, but hopefully by middle of October. They're moving along very well now. It looks really good. Well,
Report that back.
yep.
I have 3 things under continuing business. I just wanted to know if there was an update just regarding the community member that came to the last meeting about girls wrestling, and any other about the state changing the requirement
For,
for
Girls wrestling.
the girls team can no longer be intramural.
yeah, so that's not going into effect till next school year.
Okay.
So for this year, the plan right now for this year is to still do it the same way we've been doing, which Coach McIntyre's been working with the team. They, unfortunately for Coach McIntyre, it's mostly Sundays. But we do have the intention of hiring a coach when we have to do that.
Okay. And then
There should be no reason why the girls would miss any tournaments or any matches. Thank you. Couldn't get that out.
For 24, 25.
Or 25, 26.
Yeah.
25
this year.
Right now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
correct.
And then there was also a like senior community, like boys basketball team, like graduates of Belvidere that came a couple months ago asking to use the courts or the gym. And I just didn't know if we ever figured that out.
We didn't because it was an insurance issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So not possible.
it's not impossible, but they have to have some sort of insurance, which we just, I mean, we could take on the liability, but it's a huge risk for the district.
The board discussed it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not a-
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
moving forward.
And then my other question, Melissa, I know you were working on this, but board retreat with district board goals and eventually superintendent goals after we have that transition. Did we set a date yet?
I don't have a date yet. I did reach out to our representative. Did not hear back, and then I reached out again the following week, and I have not heard back from her this week. She, however, though, had some medical stuff going on, and she did text me back saying that I will contact you, soon about that. So I'm just waiting. I've only heard from a few board members, so it was looking like from those I did hear from, that second Saturday of November is what I was asking her for. But I do not have anything confirmed with her because she's been out of the office, but she did text me. So I will try and follow up with her again on Friday when I'm more free, and see if she's up to looking at her calendar or not. So,
Because we could probably, at least, whether we want to wait for that retreat in November, but we could probably start at least talking about board goals as a group.
yeah, because we were gonna do that, and we were gonna do, I asked her about setting up so we could do the board evaluation too, our self-evaluation. So it's all just sitting there waiting, so that hopefully, she will be up to helping us out soon, or have somebody who will be able to help us out soon. So we're kind of just pending on our rep,
Okay.
so.
Just real quick, if we were to start working on the board goals, what does that look like? Do we have another meeting? Like, how would we start doing that if we initiated that before the retreat?
It would be something we could talk about at the next board meeting and,
goals?
start putting that together.
Okay.
I don't know if this is business, but I have, or continuing, but I had a question on, because I know we had the shelter in place, and can you just kind of tell me a little bit or walk me through the process of, so if you have the shelter in place, what if you have students outside? Like, what does that look like? Are there different levels of shelter in place so that staff or people know, I guess, the severity or what's going on, or?
So, not sure how to necessarily hit all those questions, but it's really one protocol.
Okay.
So the difference between a shelter in place and a lockdown, just to maybe start there, because I think that makes probably a good comparison. In a shelter in place, we're basically restricting the kids from moving throughout the building as best we can. In a lockdown, we're telling the teachers to stop teaching, shut the window, shut the shades, and whether it's in a corner or in a closet or something like that. In this particular case, when the phys ed teachers go out, they usually have a walkie-talkie with them, or someone on the, if it's in the playground, will have a walkie-talkie with them. As soon as they hear that shelter-in-place call, then they come right back inside. That's sort of how that protocol goes. In this situation, because this situation took place in the gym, and I have to be careful about what I say because it was a medical issue for a student, so
Yeah,
I don't want to break anything.
Specifics for that, but
We
just
went
the
in,
protocol.
what we'll do is we'll go into the shelter-in-place like we did. We'll restrict the movement throughout the building as best we can. I mean, if the kid has an emergency, really has to go to the bathroom, then chances are you're going to let him go. And then what we'll do is, for that short time that we're in the shelter-in-place, we just monitor the situation. So in this particular situation, the nurse addressed it, but didn't feel comfortable just releasing the student. She wanted the ambulance squad to come take a look. So we knew that they were coming. And what we didn't want was them coming in the building when there's students passing.
Sure.
That's why we're going to the shelter-in-place. That's more often than not, when we have a shelter-in-place, it's for that particular reason, for a medical issue.
And then what about if you have students outside in a lockdown? How does that?
Students outside in a lockdown, it's going to depend on what the lockdown is for. If it's the mass shooting, the teachers know not to come back in the building.
Do you have codes? Like, is it, like?
No, codes are out.
Okay.
Direct and say what's going on,
Oh,
basically.
okay.
Yep. Codes can be misinterpreted, and codes can be, I heard it differently, I heard blah, blah, blah. Like, something's happening, we're saying, and this is why we're going to lockdown.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious what.
Yep.
Any other continuing business, or now we're moving into new business?
I have a new business, well, two, just updates that on 10/8, the Warren County School Board Association will be having their hybrid meeting. This topic is your guide to school district finances. That may be of interest.
That's the one I sent you, 10/8.
Yeah, so that's hybrid. You have to make sure you register online, and that also is at Hawk Point. And then the NJSBA workshop, which I see there's quite a few board members that are attending, and administrators, but that is scheduled for October 20th, and the agenda is finally out and the mobile app. Want to start scoping out sessions.
Just to follow up on that, 1020, since we approved the cost for board members to go, according to our standard operating procedures, there is an expectation that's a report out to the board as to what was learned. So, just reminding, so we're in compliance with our SOPs.
I have some new business as well. It's, yes, kind of, I just wanted to mention two of our female athletes for the month of September. Jillian Labar, as of September 23rd, had the second leading score in the state, and also the first week in September broke the field hockey goal record, which was set in 1984.
Wow.
And a week later, Sierra Christofoli broke the Belvidere girls soccer record. So I just wanted to say congratulations to both of those individuals on a job well done.
You know, on that note, if, for those who were at this past week's football game, the final touchdown was scored by a sophomore known as Tex. This is only his second year ever playing football. They are a diehard football family, but that speaks volumes to the program that somebody competing at a level where typically those kids have played for years before they get to high school, as a young athlete. Yes.
Well, on the sports note then, baseball is having their first annual car wash on 10/4 from 1:30 to 4:30, and there'll be face painting for some of the kids if they, or adults, however, if you want your face painted. Also on that date, they're having a garage sale on the front lawn of, and I don't know, is that our townwide?
Yes.
I think it is, right, so they're renting space on the school property there, so I think it's $20 for the tent, it's a 10 by 10, I think, tent that you get the space, and then you can sell your stuff, and the proceeds go to the Belvidere Baseball Boys Program, so. Yeah, it's a great, I mean, it's a good spot, it's got a lot of traffic, so if you have some stuff you want to sell for $20, it's a good little option.
On that note, and maybe this is for our activities committee as a takeaway, you know, there's a lot of fundraisers, right? The car wash, the punt, the girls soccer at Victorian Days, Citrus, Cedar Cards Project graduation raffle. Is there a way that, because we have so many parent-run organizations that support all of our activities and help keep our budget down for that, is there a way we can get some sort of master visibility to these? I try to follow every Instagram page, but I do have a job. So I don't want to miss any. If there's some way, not only that, I think it would be great if we had visibility, because I did have somebody comment to me about the fact that our budget for athletics and activities is only 3%, but we have great programs with record-setting athletes. Obviously, funding is coming from someplace else, and we should have visibility to to appreciate the efforts of those fundraising, and a list of every Venmo. I think I hit 3 Venmos for booster clubs in like the 10 minutes at Victorian Days. But so we can help coordinate the effort. So it's not just, oh, you know a baseball parent, you know
Right.
a field hockey, soccer, senior parent.
Yeah, and I'll bring that up. Unfortunately, we didn't have our Personnel and Sports Ad Hoc Committee meeting this month, but, I mean, I'll definitely bring that up, and I know that.
Or
we've-
bowling T-shirts.
Lots of things, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and we've even talked about, getting boosters together for collaboration, so it's definitely something that we've discussed, and, we'll work toward that, because I agree, we need to get visibility.
All right, so I have some new business, and number one, I'd like to thank Mrs. Koch and her students for providing us with some tasty treats for a little gathering for Mr. Kruba's retirement. They were yummy. Those culinary students did an awesome job, and it's only been a couple weeks that they were cooking, so we're all feeling well after eating their treats, so kudos to them. She said the kids were very into it and so just happy to do a project. So great job from her and her students. We appreciate it so much. Also, I am very happy to say that our superintendent, Dr. Garcia, will be taking her action very soon. We're expecting her October 9th, correct? Okay, so that is great news for us, and we welcome her. And you want to introduce?
But in the meantime, as of next Wednesday, Dr. Tim Fredericks will be doing probably one of the shortest interim gigs of his career. And Dr. Fredericks has certainly done a lot of those. But just for those that don't know, Tim's probably a very long now retired superintendent, but has certainly been around the county for years. I've known Tim for 15 years. Worked at Centenary, just finished in Hope last year. So Tim will be taking over for those 7 or 8 days in between when I retire and when Dr. Garcia takes effect.
I'm happy to be here. Congratulate Mr. Karuba for his long, distinguished career here, and congratulations to Dr. Garcia. And don't blink, because you'll miss me.
Thank you both. Okay, so is that the end of our new business, continuing business? Okay, so now we are on to public participation, which is open, and it'll be 30 minutes, up to 5 minutes per person. So if you have,
The policy.
well, we'll start the
I know,
three
I'm just
the next meeting. So anybody who has public participation, come on up to the microphone, please. It's Mr. Perkins.
How's it going? I've never done this before. Do I have to do an introduction? Or? Sure. Aaron Perkins, live here in Belvidere. I just wanted to follow up on an email I sent to Mr. Karuba back on August 24th regarding the parking lot with the elementary school. I'm just going to read it for the record. I'm writing this email as a concerned parent about the new arrangements for the parking lot drop-off at the elementary school. I have a lot of concerns about the setup. The current plan that was released last week, which everybody saw on Facebook, probably wasn't the best thing that was released. There was abundance of errors, invites car accidents, struck pedestrians. We can all agree something had to be done, but the new plan looked worse to me. The first most glaring oddity is asking parents to cross natural traffic patterns twice, once upon entering the drop-off lane and once upon exiting. You can't ask the adults to cross traffic patterns without either proper signage, trained traffic, personnel in hand, or barriers to prevent head-on collisions. Next traffic pattern continues in both directions around the drop-off lane. Any parent that has children will risk having their kids stepping out into oncoming traffic. For example, a recommended child car seat placement is the rear passenger side. This provides maximum safety for the child to exit a car onto a sidewalk, which we all normally would do. With this setup, children would step out into the busy time of traffic. Next, your new red arrows, as displayed in the new photo, show traffic to drive directly in the opposite traffic direction. Again, this goes against natural traffic flow and laws in New Jersey. Next, in the traffic pattern through the parking spots, you have traffic going both directions, which again will cause issues with your new lane. Traffic and people looking to park will not be able to safely negotiate the spots. Next, the cars exiting the drop-off lane will have to drive into oncoming traffic. You're again going against natural traffic flow and are violating laws in New Jersey. Next, you have what appears to be a half crosswalk at the end of a drop-off lane. Not sure the purpose of that, but there's guidance governing sight distance and stop lines in proximity to crosswalk lanes. Next, driveway leading into the parking lot closest to the fields are left open to interpretation. Are you allowing cars to exit? If not, where are the posted one-way and do not enter signs? This is another requirement for traffic safety. I finished up saying, I think the right idea was there because the behaviors of staff and people driving down the road was bad. It had to be fixed. The problem is the implementation. It was poor. It's inviting a disaster. It's inviting an issue when it comes to these cars traveling in. There's no signs posted. We now have a collection of cones out there. It's not going to stop anybody. But at least if you as a board or whomever decides we should start putting up signs for safety, that might be better. And also changing the whole parking lot to a one-way travel. Now, I got a response back, but I don't know. I felt like, Mr. Gruber, your response, I don't know if it was AI generated. It just didn't make sense to me. It really didn't. I'm willing to share it with everybody. Just nothing. It wasn't very cohesive in the message. Talked about traffic safety specialists in the district that were going to take a look at this. I don't know. Between that email that I received from him and then the second email I received, completely different responses. So also just a couple other notes to touch on. An extra parking spot was added at the end of a sidewalk ramp, and the ramp goes down almost into the parking, like the little parking spot there. Probably not the best thing. A couple more handicap spots were added, but no proper signage for handicap spots. So I don't know what we were trying to go for, but we need to be just a little bit more careful in regards to that. So that's why I wanted to just throw out there. And congratulations.
Thank you very much. Any other public participation for this evening? No? Okay. So, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? No? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Have a good night.